Hi, Dr. Aisha here, and I want to talk about something that I love, love, love to use when I work with clients. It's called acceptance and commitment therapy, and it's an empirically validated tool. It's an incredibly useful strategy. It has some, Buddhist philosophy. It has, of course, Western scientific and psychological research and incredible amounts of empirically validated studies behind it. But the reason that I love it is because it has 6 components, and each of them have literally transformed my life and given so much meaning to the work that I do with clients. So before I explain the components and kind of go into acceptance commitment therapy, I want to talk a little bit about kind of where it came from and why. So if you think about like the roots of psychology, we really start with more of like behaviorism, like, so if you've ever taken any psychology class, you probably know about behaviorism from like, Skinner and Pavlov's dogs, right? Behaviorism is all about like things that you have actually grown up with, like positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. And we know what these are. We know that when we behave well in school, we'd get a sticker or praise. When we didn't behave well, something would be taken away from us, right? So negative reinforcement is taking away. Positive reinforcement is giving something, a star, a prize, a praise, something like that. And what happened was we eventually realized that people are not rats or pigeons or dogs, that we are complex human beings, and behaviorism doesn't quite work. And the reason is because we can give reinforcement, positive or negative, to people. We can punish people, or we can give them rewards, try to reinforce behavior or remove behavior, but people react differently. So what would work with one person may not work with the other person at all. And you might know this if you're, come from a family where you might have siblings. And even if you have the same, biological or genetic predisposition, even if you are conditioned in the family, meaning your parents kind of pretty much raised you the same way, taking into consideration maybe birth order or where they were, in their lives, where your parents were, pretty much if the rules and values in the family were relatively the same, you might notice that even though genetics and conditioning, nature, nurture were the same, you and your siblings might have completely different experiences. The things that worked for your sibling may not have worked for you, and vice versa. And why is that? And that was actually, after behaviorism, that was the second wave. And that is called, cognition, cognitive, like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, anything that has to do with the cognitive piece. So because what we were missing was that people cannot just be trained, because we have different experiences. And because we have different cognition, I mean, we understand things differently, we interpret the world differently, we have different perspectives, then that whole, scope of understanding people through a cognitive lens came into play. We started to see that we can actually challenge our thoughts. We can actually think differently. We can look at our emotions. We can look at how our thoughts and our emotions impact our behavior. We can start to change any of those dynamics. We can change our thoughts, change our emotions, and that will result in changed behavior. So that was that had a huge impact on how we saw and helped clients. But then we started to realize we're not just behavior. We're not just cognitive thought and emotions. There's one other piece that's missing, and that's spirit. That's the soul. That's, the mind, body, spirit. That's what was missing. And this third wave is what brought in things like dialectical behavior therapy or acceptance and commitment therapy, this whole idea of kind of, ushering in a whole new way of looking at psychology, understanding people, understanding motivation, and a lot of these things like mindfulness, like having this understanding of the observer or the witness. A lot of these Eastern practices started to become the bridge that was incorporated in the third wave therapy. So acceptance commitment therapy, again, it comes from kind of like that Eastern approach where we're finding the bridge between Eastern philosophy, Western psychology, scientific thought, and yet holistic and Eastern understanding of the mind. And that's why I'm so excited, because for me, growing up in the West and being born in the East and having a lot of family and culture from India, and then yet growing up here in the West, to me, that combination of the two just really feels like home. So I'm excited to share these concepts with you, and hopefully in the next video we're going to go a little bit more into each component of acceptance commitment therapy, and I'm excited to share what I know, and hopefully it will be helpful for you. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, and take care.